Welcome back, everyone. This is episode 5 of Opportunity. How's
Welcome
everyone
back.
doing? How you doing, Terrence?
I'm good in yourself.
I'm doing okay, surviving this little mini blizzard I see outside gracing the New York
Right
streets.
now?
No, these past few days, you didn't see that snow
Oh
outside?
no, oh yeah. When I went outside earlier today, I had to scrape some snow off.
Oh yeah, no. I literally looked outside. I closed those blinds and those curtains right back. I'm not touching. I'm not doing it. I will sit in the
It wasn't bad.
house.
It wasn't bad at all. Like my car sat parked the whole weekend. It wasn't bad at all. It was literally like I just brushed. It was soft snow. Brush, brush, brush.
But they supposed to. They're saying that it's supposed to get worse. So, I mean, along they said to expect like these snowstorms to keep coming. But I mean, it's winter. We're used to it. I
You
mean,
always
it's
get
well off
hit
some.
bad in February. You know February is
I
when you always
know.
slammed. You already
I
know.
just hope it doesn't linger into like that April type weather. Sometimes where it's like, ugh.
But I have a feeling we are because not for nothing. Mine is January, like December. We had a pretty good December
Yeah,
weather-wise.
no. I mean, the benefits of global warming, but I mean, on the other hand, it's destroying other things. So I mean,
I
double-edged
mean, we
sword.
did get some low temperatures this month, as we always do in
Yeah.
January. But thank God we didn't have no snowstorm. I just don't even want to. I haven't even bought a shovel yet.
Mm.
I'm like, will this winter go by and I don't have to buy a shovel? Because I'm not looking forward to that.
Uh, okay, all right. So let's get into it. So this
Let's get into
episode,
it.
I wanted to kind of touch on um, relationships pertaining to individuals who are performers, singers. It could be an opera, ballet, just across the spectrum of the arts. Not so much in the romantic type. I mean, we can touch that if that's something that like you want to maybe kind of delve into. We could
I think we
maybe.
should make that a separate episode because that's
All right.
probably
Okay.
going to be a full on topic.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right. Perfect. So the relationships that I'm trying to like kind of more emphasize are the ones of support. So whether it's friendships, support from family, as well as just colleagues in general, like within the industry, that's something that I see that kind of flip flop sometimes. You know, stars kind of fake it, over a little differently, and they kind of maybe kind of forget that camaraderie between their peers. So I kind of wanted to touch on kind of like, would you say you have a separate group of friends, like a group of friends that you keep musically, to a kind of group of friends that you kind of like, that's more personal, more kind of like whether it's influenced by your culture, and their taste in music, or their taste in art? Do you feel there's kind of like a bridge between, or do you feel like it's legit like separate, like different?
Um, to answer your question, I do have. I won't say a separate. I guess that's the best way to describe it. I do have a separate group of friends who, are my music people versus. Okay, so put it like this: my regular best friends, they're not music people at all. Like I can't
Mm.
say, hey, did you hear? you know, what did you think of Verdi's Rigoletto at the Met? They'd be like, excuse me, what kind of pasta is that? So, and that's not a shot at them. That's just as multifaceted creatures, we have different interests. But in however, I mean, it would be cool if I could have those conversations with my friends. It's just that they're not musically inclined. I guess the same way that if I was friends with a surgeon and we were talking about, the internal system and they started using a bunch of medical jargon, I wouldn't know what the fuck they was talking about. So I don't look at it.
Yeah.
I don't look at it in a negative way, but it's unless you happen to have all your friends from music, then yeah. But I think a lot of us who have had different jobs that were outside of music or just
Hmm.
in general just lived separate lives outside of music, you end up meeting like my female best friend. And she told me to tell you how, by the way. I told you ever since I showed
Hello.
you'll meet her one day eventually. Ever since I showed her you in the recital, she's like, I have got to meet him. But anyway, she was my first boss when I worked at Enterprise. She was my boss, and she trained me, and that was what, 15 something years ago, and we just been like that ever since. But she's not a music person. She's just not. She's not.
Has she ever been to something with you singing?
No, she hasn't. Now, she got on my case. I'm gonna tell you why. And it kind of tied into, I don't know if you remember backstage, we were talking, and you asked me, you turned around, you said, T, is anybody coming? I'm like, no. No. And so after, she knew we were doing the opera and all that other stuff, She knows that much. I'm a musician and all that stuff. So after Saturday's performance, Sunday afternoon we spoke, and she said, can I ask you something? I said, what's up? She said, why you didn't invite me? I was just like, I told her, I said, honestly, I just didn't think you would want to come. Like, I didn't think you would want to come. Like, I didn't think you would want to be bothered sitting through, for y'all, for them,
yeah.
for us, is we don't care because that's what we do.
Yeah.
But for them, I would think it's like torture.
No. I see. The thing is, I could see both sides. I honestly can, because it's like, that is something that, like, first of all, I don't even think it really has much to do with, just it's really, I think singing is so personal to us.
It is.
That sometimes, and it's like, it's something vulnerable that, when our colleagues outside of music are good friends, our best friends outside of music, we know the support is there. It's like, but we just, for some reason, I feel we are guilty of writing them off for not letting them experiencing it, because we're so afraid of the fact that, like, for them not liking what I'm doing, is that going to kind of like create a thorn in our friendship. And the thing is, it's like, you kind of want that support, but it's like, but she sounds amazing. I mean, just like, if over 10, I feel like if a relationship is over, if any type of relationship over 10 years, it's like, there is love there, that unconditional, like, you see me at my worst, I seen you at your worst. I think it's time to bring her on board.
So to connect the dots, remember when you locked your keys in the car? That's
that was her.
That's her. That's how cool she can call.
Yes, everyone. I locked my keys in the car. It was horrible. The Puerto Rican in me was ashamed. I could not get in on all.
Listen, as much as I don't want to adhere to stereotypes, the Black in me couldn't help you.
And everybody is staring at us. They're just like, what are they doing?
They were staring at us, and I'm just like, it is what it is. Like, what could we do? We tried to get in there. We couldn't get in there. It was what it was.
Yeah, but no, you definitely, for the performance for this year, she has to attend. She has to attend. I know that's probably not what but she ease her in.
Recital, yes.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. But the other thing,
I'll see your shade. Just ooh. But yeah,
the second one, I don't know, but definitely, because I think we're all singing in that same recital anyway, and that's gonna be that recital right there is going to be good. So, and it's enough. See, recital with different people, it's enough stop and go that they won't get so, it's
mixed
different. Right, it's different from sitting down in a 3-hour opera where you're fully, you know what I'm saying, versus, 5 minutes here, clap, clap, clap. You get to, 7 minutes here, clap, clap, clap. So most definitely, if she's able to, the only thing is that we normally, they have our recitals early in the afternoon, and she works.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure if I tell her early enough, she'll take the day off to come.
Definitely. That's 100%. But it's good to see that this is happening, because I wanted to kind of touch on this topic because I know out of the masses of musicians out there, I know it's like whether you have a friend that you've grown up with or someone that has kind of made such a huge impact in your life, like there has to be a sense of, gee, like I wish I could share this part of me that they could understand, but it's that I think it's about being vulnerable. I could see like our friends taking it the wrong way to be like, well,
I
why don't
agree.
you want me to come? And
Right.
it's like, it's not even like
I
that.
can see
It's
that
like,
too.
it's just really, it's such a sensitive, like these are our babies. So it's like, and then if you're our good friend or our good Judy, we know you're gonna tell us the truth. We
Right.
be like, you
Right.
ain't good, or like,
I'm
this
not
is
even afraid
different.
of that. As much as
Well, that's not gonna happen. I mean, baby got the
well,
voice.
but I'm so like concerned with how I value my time and how I value other people's time that I would not want to
Mhm.
waste your time, and you know what I'm saying, intentionally. So not to, and that's not up to me to, of course, that's not up to me to make that decision,
Yeah.
but just me know, like, in my head I'll be like, well, I'm not gonna waste her time, have her sitting through this, and she could be, doing da. I
Yeah.
know she won't. She's gonna. Oh, you can't. That's not fair for you to say. I get it. I get it.
Hmm.
Like you, I do see both sides of it, but and however, it's like I said, because we've when you live a multifaceted, like, there are some musicians who they go straight through music, so all of their friends are music people,
Yeah.
whether they're
Hmm.
pianists, violinists, oboe, composer, whatever. There are some people like that, and so naturally, of course, if you call your oboe friend and say, "Hey, I'm in, Handel's Xerxes," they're gonna be like, "Oh, for real? I'll come," because they're musicians.
Hmm. That's so
Hopefully,
interesting. Yeah,
hopefully.
but that's so interesting that you said that though, because it seems to me that out of my years of seeing other musicians and then attending school, I've noticed that the instrumentalists seem to kind of cling a little bit more to one another than kind of the voice students. I don't know if it has to do with so much of, I would say, ego in a way,
Boom,
or
boom, 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 boom. That's it. You took it right out
yeah.
of my mouth. Unfortunately, singers, I'm one of y'all. I know our egos are a little more expansive than theirs. But I will say, but I will say this though, on the flip side of it, because we know how it feels to deal with the things that singers deal with, when you do find them, they're excellent. I love having good singer friends. I really do. Like, I love having
Hmm.
really, I don't want a bunch of them because you know how singers can be. But
Hmm.
if you have a good bunch of them, and for me, as long as, even if I'm performing and they come, I want to be able to improve. So I wouldn't feel like, example, if you would have said, T, you sounded amazing, but why you keep taking long breaths? I would have
Hmm.
laughed about it, and I know you're a musician and you're coming from a music point of view, and then I'm like, oh shit, da, da, da. I wouldn't be offended because I respect you as a musician. It also depends.
Yeah.
It also depends on the delivery,
Yep.
but
100%.
I wouldn't. I wouldn't mind that at all if it was you or maybe some of our other colleagues. That we've come. I wouldn't mind it at all. It's all in the delivery, but you know, I think that I don't know. We should be, you got to think about it like this also, Yvonne. They're also more conditioned to performing with each other on a more
Mm.
frequent basis than we are. You know, we might do an opera, but they do, duets and chamber music and da 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 da, and they do that more frequently than we do. And there should be a concert where nobody's allowed to sing by themselves. It should be
Hmm.
nothing but duets, trios, and quartets. Not a full opera, but something adjacent to um chamber music, but for singing.
Yeah.
You
But
know,
singing, oh, yeah, no, and I mean, that would also help with intonation. That would also help with building people who deal with like, people who have problems with anxiety,
performance
people who have
anxiety. Yes, yes.
100%. So then it's now, because I could honestly say, compared to me going on stage by myself than to going on stage with like, a colleague or another singer, that sense of kind of like, we're in the boat together. So, I mean, I'm not so alone here, even though somewhat we are alone. But I think that that's something that's like I've always kind of thought about that, because like even walking around campus, I like see all the instrumentalists kind of like super clingy. Like I see the singers kind of click together, and like I even feel like in our in our class of musicians, I could see that there is small little cliques, like certain people, like, oh, they normally are with these people that, and, and I'm not trying to be no shade, but I mean, I do think class and I do think like performance capabilities have a lot to do with who's with who.
I never thought about it that way.
It is. It literally is the performance to who is, because I've noticed that the people who clicked off, not saying that like they're of a lower caliber performance, it's to where they are and their performance
they
kind of like,
interesting point. I never even thought about it like that.
And like the same things that I see like they vocally are struggling with, are working on, are improving on, they click together. So it's kind of like very interesting that I could see. And then too, the professors could say what they want, but I know that they're seeing all of this as well too, to be like, oh, this person is really close to this person, which would make sense as to why they kind of like, like even for our senior recital, not for our senior recital, for the last recital, you could kind of see this progression of these singers. To me, that whole entire performance was just progression from the top to the end, kind of seeing these different, I think that there should be kind of, I just wish there was just more programs, like the whole thing with having like chamber music for six, so that we could at least build a better sense of camaraderie, as well as, sharing secrets of technique, like really kind of building that so that when we're going out there and we're all getting employed and we're finding work, it takes a little bit of that pressure of being so competitive and kind of cutthroat, because your colleagues, like you got time to actually sit there to be like, oh no, like, it's not even like that. But I think like that's the one thing that we all do. I think that like we definitely do size each other up. But going back to the friendship thing, I just think that no, it's a really good good thing. Like I personally, I didn't have like music friends. Like I remember the first time like I was trying to sing opera, I literally had like two old friends from high school, like, and it wasn't even legit opera. It was like some Josh Groban stuff, like, because he's like that popera voice. So I'm just like, oh no, this song is beautiful. Like, and I mean, like they heard me sing musical theater. I literally sit these two people down in my living room. I'm like, listen to, and they literally did not receive it. Like they were not here for it. They were like, oh yeah, it's different. Yeah. It's different. And I'm literally like, okay. So like, that's that. And, sometimes unfortunately, and they were great friends. They're still awesome people. But it's like, sometimes it's like, we have to not, that's that scary part, is something that you kind of are so in love, and then your friends reject it. It's like, oh no, like, but I mean, years later, down the line, then really kind of like taking music like professionally and seriously. I kind of think sometimes having too many musical friends can be a hindrance.
You gotta definitely. I will agree with you to the degree that you gotta watch out musically who you befriend. You can be pleasant to everybody, but as far as befriending people, you do kind of watch out who you befriend, because sometimes they're the enemy in disguise.
Yeah, they got them knives right in their pockets, waiting for you to turn around.
Yeah. Which is why I'm not always enthusiastic about making new music friends, new music colleagues. Sure, new music friends. I don't know how I feel about that. See, I had a different experience growing up because I was in a music school. So, when I was in the 7th and 8th grade, it was literally like a bunch of us. We would go to, that's when the music library was on, before it moved to Lincoln Center, it was on 40th Street and 5th Avenue by Bryant Park. And I'm like in the 7th and 8th grade, we are literally going there getting full scores of like Verdi's Traviata and stuff like that. So for me growing up, friend-wise, my friends were my music friends. Like I didn't have, I mean, there were people who I knew on the block where I grew up, but my friends who I spent a lot of time with, they were definitely music people. And then once I went to college, I was cool with other people outside of the music department, but the music department was where I spent most of my time. So naturally,
it's bound to make friends.
I made, awesome people. Awesome. When I went to Fit, also met some beautiful people, talented people. Now, once I got out of college and I moved back to New York and I became a regular person, then I wasn't doing music anymore. That's when I started to meet I don't want to call them regular because that makes them sound less than, but that's when I met my non-musical friends, and
Yeah, that's a perfect way to put it.
um, love them just as much. Hang out with them when I can, and go have a drink. See, it's interesting because those, like when you call me, sometimes the people who I'll go have a drink with, those are my non-musical friends. So,
Yeah.
I wish, and I'm pretty sure most people, I wished I could put them all together and they could all be one. Like we could be getting ready to go to the club, and if Verdi's Requiem come on, we could jam out to that on the way to the club. You know what I'm saying? Versus,
Oh, yes.
like how you go to the
Yes.
bar and you like, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So in a perfect world, of course,
Oh.
we will want both, but
N-
I'm not opposed to having them be separate. I'm
Oh no. That's literally like a number one test of mine. So if anybody out there who's literally watching this podcast or anybody who knows us and they're like, why would it be your friend so bad? All right, look, the one way for me, for somebody to really solidify a friendship with me, if you're riding in my car, I'm letting y'all know right now, y'all are in for a concert because we will start all the way out from either it's Bach, Mozart, Handel. Then I'm gonna switch it up. You gonna get some Tita Marie, some mulatto now. It's like the thing is, it's like when you have such and I honestly think that this has something to do with culturally. We are of color. So my people of color, and I'm not trying to like exclude anybody out of this, but we tend to have a very diverse select of music, even outside of opera. Whether you want to talk old school R&B, whether you want to talk about disco, whether you want to talk about slow jams, you want to talk about hip hop, you want to talk about rap, you want to talk about trap, you want to talk like the what is it like when I don't want to say holiday line dancing, but step in the name of love, like certain things about us that kind of like people would think our playlists are of somebody who is insane because it's like, how are you going from one extreme to a total different extreme?
Now let me ask you this, Yvonne. So does your playlist always stay the same, or does it depend on who's in the car with you?
Oh, okay. First of all, I don't care. If you're in my car, I am paying my gas in my car and you are a passenger. So the
Excellent
one
point.
thing that people know that unless I trust you with the music, because there's a group of people and a mental list that I make sure that they are nowhere near the Bluetooth. They are nowhere near access to playing anything in that car. But what I do force people to do, whether they like it or not, you will be listening to some opera. And not only will you be listening to some opera, the windows will be down, the sound will be to max, and everybody on the street will be looking at us like we're crazy. Like people used to call me crazy. Like literally, like one night I think I was driving one time from I think a late practice with Choral Society. And I'll never forget, I stopped at this red light and I'm in the mood. I think I was listening to like Vivaldi's Agitata da Dueventi, and it's like these crazy these crazy fast repeated notes. And and it was like kind of like in that it was still warm outside, so the sunroof was open, my windows were cracked. I didn't even realize there was a group of people sitting out smoking cigarettes. So like I'm literally in the car, just bopping my head. I look to the side, these people are like applauding. Like I was like, am I being punked? Like I'm looking around like, are they talking to me? Like, and they're just like, finally, good music. And I'm just like, wow, drive right off. But that's something literally I think that kind of melded a few friendships for me along the way through the years. Because being a bartender, working late nights, I'm always the one to be like, you need a ride home? Because I mean, these buses, these trains are insane. And if you're on the way, I don't mind dropping you off. So as soon as they knew they got in the car with me, no shame in my game. I'm like, I got to finish hearing this piece. Oh, what's this? Boom, spark of a conversation. So.
I think for me, I feel so bad. For me, I'm not going to lie. Like, I judge it off my audience because I try to think like, I don't want to buy, even though it's my car, my expensive gas, the way I think about it is, gas ain't cheap. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna listen to something that I want to listen to, but something that I think that they'll feel comfortable listening to. So I have like a good general R&B playlist. I mean, I have like you said, if it was one of my music people and you got in my car and I didn't have to think twice about it, you probably would have
Mhm.
heard maybe some Vivaldi, then you might have heard some Dvorak, maybe some
Mhm.
Puccini, then it'll went to Kanye, then back to Verity, then you might have got some nails, and you want maybe some Stevie Wonder. I mean, just all over the place, like literally all over the place. Jay-Z to Rossini, like it'll be all over the place. Um, and then that's to your point. I think and we gotta stop apologizing for having culture. It is true. We as
Yeah.
cultured people, we have a variety, we have a varied taste, we have a wide palette. We're just used to just digesting music in a different way. So
Or
yeah,
feeling or I
the
think
same
feeling a
here.
little or I think feeling a little guilty too. I don't mean to cut you
Right,
off, but
right.
sometimes have I thought I'm like the only one where I'm just like, I've been listening like to too much rap this week. Like I've been kind of neglecting because sometimes when you're so bombarded with what we do on it, sometimes I use the other stuff as kind of like a musical break to be like, not that I don't love it, but I kind of just want my brain to just run on autopilot right now. I don't really want to think much, but then it starts thinking because it's like, wait a minute, this R&B track still has the ABA format because they basically repeat in the A.
Then all they do is they call it verse, chorus, bridge, whatever they call it. It's pretty much the same thing. I'm the same way. Like if I have a heavy music day, like on a Monday, Tuesday, when I get out of rehearsal or get out of class, I'm not getting in my car and I'm not playing Puccini right over again. I'm probably gonna play my R&B playlist. So if I'm feeling ratchet, I'll play my hip hop playlist.
Mm-hmm.
Some city girls or something. Um,
Mm-hmm.
as a break because right
Right on the
because we've
highway.
just been
Right.
immersed right because we've just been immersed for 7 hours 4 or 5 hours with
Yeah.
classical and opera, so it does, and then turn around you're probably going to get home and have to do some kind
Mm-hmm.
of review work or something, so you're going to be right back in it. So yeah, I kind of do the same thing when I get up, when I leave, especially a long musical day. I definitely, if I have to drive anywhere over 30 minutes, I'm definitely gonna put on one of my regular playlists.
Play it through.
Play it
No,
through.
that's so that no, I could definitely relate to that. So now let me ask you a question too. So do you feel that your music friends, do you feel they are supportive enough? Or do you feel like sometimes they aren't supportive enough of the things that you want to do?
Um, uh, it's hard for me to answer that question.
Like meaning like checking in, meaning like actually building a friendship that is just kind of like not like music is not the basis of that friendship. Like it is it's an attachment of the friendship, but at the inner core, it is a true friendship that even if you did not do music together, you would still be a friend. Do
Hmm.
you feel like those like see it makes that's what makes you think about it, because it's like, is my relationship with this person solely on music alone, or like do I know where this person is from? Do I know this person has this types of issues outside in their personal life? This person grew up here, this person's favorite food is X, Y, and Z, their favorite movie is, like building like a true friendship rather than kind of just saying, oh, like, they're a friend but musically. That's what I feel. I like that's what I wanted to ask.
I guess for me, the answer is I won't say that they don't support me because I know if I said, "Hey, blah 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 blah, do you want to come to the show?" They probably would. But when you put it that way, I would have to answer no. But I will also say that it's partially my fault as well, because I've always said the only way to have a friend is to be a friend. So I would
Mm,
not hold them to that standard if I'm not doing that myself, you know? And I
okay.
know for sure, outside of you guys that I know at school, most of my music friends are deep into their careers, as I'm sure,
Mm-hmm.
some of yours are.
Yeah.
So um, they're like deep, which is nothing wrong with that. And I just think that time got away from us, and I don't think it was an intentional thing that we stopped checking in on each other. I just think that it was a thing. And I personally feel in my heart of hearts, and I could always be wrong, that the at least four people that I'm thinking of in my head, if I called them right now and they had the free time and I said, hey, you know, it would mean a lot to me if you came to my recital, or I'm starring in hell, I don't know, Pagliacci. Uh,
I was gonna say
huh.
that, but I'm playing.
I don't know.
Go ahead.
My mom was drawing a blank. I couldn't. You know, would you come? And I know those
Yeah,
in my head. I personally feel that those four people would say yes if they were available to come. Um, but to your point, my answer is no. But half of that no is my fault, because while I can expect whatever from them, the same has to be expected of me, and I have not
yeah,
done that. And I'm not, and not on purpose. It's just that you know, getting back into music and just
yeah,
meeting new people and just
yeah. But but the thing why I'm touching it too is because I feel that a lot of us as performers, I'm not sure. I don't know from the side of an instrumentalist, but from a singer, from what I've seen, and this is just something that I've been witnessing. And I mean, if people feel differently, I would love to hear their side. Um, I feel that as musicians, when we meet someone that has um that shared love of the craft, and it's just something that they love to do, I think like that's kind of like that that seed that kind of plants in. And then when you kind of see like, oh, this person is actually a cool person outside of the music, I think that that happens. But I think that sometimes we kind of get stuck of being afraid to kind of coming out of the things outside of music. Like I feel like we're
that's
all
an excellent point.
yeah, I feel like we're still very guarded. Like we're very much like, okay, like, yeah, you're a great performer. Oh, you're so nice in rehearsal. Oh, you're great. This is awesome. And then it's kind of like, but I kind of don't really know, like, if I should tell you about, I'm going through this or I'm from here. But I think like it's a buildup. But I noticed like the people that I went to school with, and I had a music suite on campus. So it's like I think there was like maybe one person in the apartment that we had that wasn't a musician. Like it literally was a group of musicians that took class together, and like my roommate was like an organist. Like he was like a fantastic roommate. Like Mark, if you're listening to this, hi Mark, fantastic Polish organist. Um, it was kind of interesting because there was that support there. Like we were always checking in on one another, kind of like always performing with one another. But as soon as like, you leave school, and then people kind of either they continue new schooling or they get work, or a lot of the students at my school actually switch careers, which is the crazy part.
Hmm.
But it's so weird because it's such good times, but then it's now like so many years has gone by, so it's kind of like, yeah, like that distant, like, hey. You know what I mean? I just wish that we could have I just wish that as musicians we could kind of build more I want to say diverse type relationships with other musicians. I don't think that we should solely just be friends and have camaraderie just because we have a commonality with music. Like yes, it's great, but I think that we should all get to kind of know each other a little bit more, because I think that there's such more of a rich community that could be there, and that separation and then that anxiety and then that kind of protective nature of all of us are kind of like, whoa, let me not get too close, because I don't know if this person is like underlying jealous of me, or I don't know if this person underlying just like me. And work environment. So I think like that's why I'm kind of trying to play devil's advocate in my question by saying that could be kind of contributing as to why relationships kind of end up the way they are. But
I mean, you hit it on the head. I mean, you know, I'm all for accountability. So I never try to like accuse somebody of doing something or being a bad friend, unless they just was that
mhm.
and I was not. But when you said it when you put it the way you put it, I'm just like, oh, that's interesting, because how many of our musical interactions with people, with other musicians, is just like that. Oh, you play good. Oh, you sound good.
Mm-hmm.
Bye. You know,
But
so
yeah, it was
it's
so awkward.
awkward.
I
Yeah,
think
it's so awkward.
no tea or no shade, but I'm gonna bring the situation out. For example, after the recital, I believe I think it was you, Kyle, and myself, and Selena walks by, and I'm like, oh my God, Selena, great job. She's like, thank you so much. I was like, yeah, it was really great. She's like, you did great. So I'm like, yeah, great. Okay, goodbye. Like totally awkward. Like you're literally walking away. Like what the hell was that? Like it's
Right.
just so
It's almost like
awkward.
you don't know what to say, because we haven't fostered those as regular friendships. You know, versus a regular friendship
Yeah.
would have been like, oh, well, what you gonna eat to lunch? What you eating for lunch? Or did you cook last night? Or me and you, we talk about, oh, when the last time you played Mario Kart or whatever. Because there's
Mm-hmm.
you, and that's all of us. I'm responsible as well for probably not, fostering a better friendship with certain people in the past that I could have, especially my music people. Um,
But I think there's a
that's
lot of
what,
factors that play.
yeah, there are some factors that play in it, but it's so
Mm-hmm.
interesting. Like when you sit and talk to people, just talk to them, and you just like when we did throughout the Dido thing, I learned so much about so many of our castmates and our, I'm not saying that we're best of friends, but it was just like cool to see people, um,
Like the human side,
the
the
human
actual like
side, the non-musician side, because
yeah.
as musicians, especially as singers, because we carry our instrument with us wherever we go, we're so cautious about a lot of the things that we do. So when you see people just like, I love watching those young guys over there, and I'm talking about, I won't say their names. I love watching them over there having fun and laughing and hee hee and ha ha, because they show their human side. They're not talking about Schubert or Strauss. They just enjoying themselves, laughing, kikiing, whatever, and that's the
Mm-hmm.
beauty of it. I'm sure you can remember. I remember when we were like that, and you just, I was like, that's good, and that'll help them preserve their friendship because it won't just be
Yeah.
about music.
Won't be just about music. It already builds that sense of, and then I think too, when schools have that, especially singers, I think that makes the performances even top notch, especially when the operas are run. It's because you're
Especially
not
the
looking,
ensemble
yeah,
performances.
you're not looking at, your fellow musicians, especially if you've had time to build like some type of camaraderie or even just some type of, professional friendship. I think like that's kind of, the professional friendship is good, but I think we should take it a step further to really kind of be like, hey, like, you know, because remember, these are the people that depending on where you land in the world, these are your coworkers. These are your future coworkers that you're going to see. And it's the same thing like with any, not I don't want to compare it to a 9 to 5 job, but I mean, like you are always kind of seeing who's employee of the week, who's on the top, who's getting those top performances, or it's the same thing. But I think that if there's a better sense of, you know, encouragement, kind of authentic kind of relationships being made, and then just being honest to one another and just kind of just telling someone they did a good job or being encouraging, I feel is so much needed in here. Like when you actually hear somebody do a good job, tell them.
I always do. I always do.
Tell them.
I don't believe in that I'm too good to give people compliments kind of thing. You would think,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm not even trying to toot my own horn, you would think I sound like shit just on how much I compliment people. If I feel you sounded good, I'm gonna let you know. I
Yeah.
have heard some good singing in the past few months, and I have no problem telling you that you were good. And the reason why I said what I said before that was because I had given certain people compliments, and they act like they were shocked that I gave them a compliment.
Oh,
That's
yes,
why.
yes.
And I guess that's not their fault. That's maybe still in some way that I present myself, it could give them some kind of impression. And I'm not mad at anybody for that. That's on me. But I was surprised that they were like, you gave me a compliment, and I'm not better than nobody else. I'm just saying that the reaction that I got. And I'm like, no, I always, if you sound good, and I don't care if I know you for 15 years or 15 seconds. I've heard some really good singing in the past few months, and as much as I can, I tell, uh, I tell the people that when I hear them, if you sound good, oh, you sounded good. You singing that damn thing. You
Mm-hmm.
making Schubert happy. Oh shit, your Handel is doing. What?
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of us, myself included, you would be surprised how many people close to us have told us that we sound good or we're singing good or your performance was good. Some of us never get that. So I
Yeah.
completely agree with you. And it means to me, it means a lot more when it comes, not a lot more. I guess that's the wrong thing to say. It means something with some shimmer on it if it comes from somebody who do what I do.
Mm.
Somebody who knows what it takes to dissect the language and dissect the role and find meaning in what you're doing and do the technical work behind it and all the repetitious practicing. It just means somebody, it means not more or less, but it has more weight to me if
Mm.
I get that from my colleague, because they know what it takes to have that, not
Yeah.
sound, but to have that caliber of performance.
Yeah, it's definitely, no, I could definitely see that. I want to take this a little bit in a different direction, even because I
Okay.
think um, we touched on the friendship part, kind of, the separate friends, whether and then kind of working into the music friends, trying to integrate it. But what I really want to talk about is when we're talking about some more support is familial support. So this is something that I've seen a lot of singers either excel with or struggle with. Um, I've noticed that I've been able to kind of be in an environment in my undergraduate prior to Aaron, um, that I've seen a lot of musicians
Mm-hmm.
have this like extremely like good source of familial support, like to the point where like the parents are paying for private lessons, totally spending money to go on these programs, kind of always kind of being there. And then of course there were certain other students who really didn't have a support system outside of anything but continued in music. So what I'm asking you is, do you feel that that creates different types of musicians? Because do you feel like there's musicians out there that play with a different bit of more passion because of something that they're longing for from the support of those that are close to them? Or the ones that kind of like have got everything paid for, it was kind of something I was good to, like you kind of just see them moving with the motions. But I feel that sometimes with a singer, and I don't mean to go a little bit off the question, but I feel that depending on a delivery or personality traits or characteristics, you could almost somewhat tell when a singer hasn't been given much support in certain areas.
That's a tough one to dissect because there are so many variables.
Yeah, it
Um,
goes so many ways.
hmm. I could see it both ways you described it. I could see somebody not having that familiar support and them playing with this extra bit of hunger, or them singing with this extra bit of hunger. I could see it that way, and I can see it on the flip side. I can see, you walking on stage looking good and feeling good and looking and seeing your people out there and just giving it something extra because your people are out there. So I can see
Mm-hmm.
it. I can see it both ways. In my case, I had a dual thing. So I don't come from a music background at all. Like,
Mm-hmm.
no, outside of Sundays. You know how I go Sundays. Your mom put on the radio and she was singing clean. Outside of
Mm-hmm.
that, traditional standard music. No, I didn't have any. I don't come from a musical family, but and y'all gonna catch this in my interview one of these days. I'll break it down a little more. Once I got the chance to go to the Boys Fire Home, and my mom did ask me, she said, "Do you want to try it?" I said, "Sure." She said, "Well," I said no at first, and then she said, "Well, try it. Son, try. You always want to try things new in life, and if you like it, you stay. If not, you can plenty other schools to go to.
Mm-hmm.
And she was supportive in the sense that I will say this, she broke that curse of you're gonna go study what I tell you to study, you're gonna go do what I tell you to do.
Yeah.
Always told me do what makes you happy. Now I come from a single parent background, so my mom had to work a lot, because she had 3 kids.
Yeah.
So that meant no parents at recitals. That in my formal years, and I sang a lot in my when I between the ages of 10 and 18, I sang a lot. I was in I was the voice choir at home, so I sang and performed a lot. Did she come to some when she could, but it was very sparse. As a child, I did not understand that. So I kind of had this resentment towards music, even though I was so enveloped in it and I was becoming somewhat okay at it. I had this resentment towards it because there's nothing like looking in the audience and seeing your people there. Can't replace it. Is it something
Mm-hmm.
a different feeling? It's a different. I can't put into words. It's just different.
Mm-hmm.
So on that token, until I became an adult and I knew what it took to support yourself, let alone 3 children, I
Mm-hmm.
understood why my mom had to have 2 jobs. You understand what I'm saying? I understood it. And but I developed a bad habit. And I don't tell most people when I perform outside of my music people. And it was interesting, and I kind of feel like I hurt my mom's feelings. Um she came over to my house and I had the Dido poster on my door.
Mm-hmm.
And so, we didn't get the posters until after the fact.
Yeah.
So she's like, "Oh, you did a show?" I'm like, "Yeah." She's like, "Why didn't you tell me?" I'm just like, "Oh, I didn't think to." And I feel like I think I hurt her feelings in the
Mm.
sense that why wouldn't I tell her if that makes sense? So, I developed this defense mechanism that they can't say no if I don't ask them, you know?
Yeah.
Um, because what if I was Aeneas, and I had asked and they said no? I would
Oh,
feel,
that would be so crushing. That would be so crushing.
I would, I would, even if they had to work, and you can't make somebody put your priorities over theirs, you know.
Yeah.
So, but did I have? I'm sorry, I got long winded. Did I have familiar support in the sense that they encouraged me to do it? Yes. Um, always. My mother always. She flew down to college with me when I first went to FIS. She came with me. We met the music staff and all this other stuff. So, in that sense, absolutely.
That's so good. No, that makes it because the thing is, it's like I remember when Dido was performing and everything was happening, and I remember I asked you, I said, "Hey, like, who's coming for you?" And you was like, "Oh no, nobody." And
And I had to get up and walk out the room. You almost put me in tears because there's so much behind that. And I'm just like, and you didn't know, but it was so much
yeah,
behind that.
and the thing that, of course, me, because I'll analyze everything.
Right.
I'm literally sitting there, and I said, "This makes so much sense." I said, "This makes so much sense." It's not the fact that because like I feel like I do have somewhat of a gift of reading people, like
Mhm.
not to kind of go through to destroy them, but to really kind of look at them and say, I think this might be something as to why they are the way they are, or kind of just, I literally sit there and just, so when I asked you and I saw it in your face, like I think you thought you held it, like he ain't gonna know. And and to me, I literally sat there and I said, no, I'm like, this is deeper than this. That's why when I thought about asking, like, oh, does your, like, who do you have, kind of, and I always wanted to ask you because, you know um growing up, I mean, for me, it was, I want to connect this to kind of like a similarity between you and myself, because growing up, I had, so I came from a single parent household. Like my parents split when I was one. Like even though like I didn't really know if this podcast was going to get too personal, but I mean, just like, it is what it is. Like, it's tea. Like, I don't think that this is anything to be embarrassed about, because I know I'm not the only one in this boat. But I grew up having a parent, like my dad, there but not there. And I think that like it hurts even more when a person is there but not there, rather than just not there. Because it's almost as if like someone's tingling something in front of you.
Yeah, they said you can't know something you never had.
Yeah. So the thing is, it's like my mom has been support. Like my mom knew. My mom was like, "Oh, this is some artsy, but I know who he gonna be. He gonna be so." My mom always told me when I was a kid, "You're gonna be on TV." Like, I don't know what it is, but I'm gonna turn the TV on with him and be like, "I told y'all he was gonna go on TV." But the thing is, it's like, I enjoyed singing my entire life, and my mom, as much as she really wasn't kind of present. My mom had to work third shift. My mom was working in the hospital late. I was with my grandmother a lot, my sister, and my brother. But I did music. My mom came to the performances. Like, even when I moved to the South for 2 years, like I was doing chorus, my mom would come. When I was doing Broadway shows in high school, my mom was always there yelling like, woohoo. But then, time changed and people go through things. And like, me and my mom stopped talking for a while. Like, it was like years. It was so difficult. And I was going to school for music and everything. And I remember like my mom just wasn't like the support like she used to be. Like, she used to attend performances and used to encourage me. But then I just felt at one point like she was just so disappointed that I wasn't kind of like doing or like timing the way whatever her expectations in her mind was, which
don't even go there.
Yeah, which I could understand that like as a parent you want the best for your kid, but you got to understand that like we have our own cards dealt, and like you can't play our game with your hand. Like, your hand is for your turn, and like the best you can do is guide me onto which book to play next, and hope that I took your advice to kind of, but you got to understand, even if I took those same cards and play out of your game, my ending still will not be the same. So I think that like, my mom has been like, I can honestly say that I just feel like my family was never supportive of my operatic career. Like, they assumed that I was going to school to be a doctor or something. And then like when I went to music, like nobody really kept up. Oh, what are you doing? How's your singing going? Like, all my lessons outside of school for like 8-9 years, like paying like $150 to $180 an hour, I paid that all by myself. Like, I never asked any of them for help. They never came to performances. Like, Dido was the first operatic performance my mom ever came to. Granted, it was like legit my first performance, but I had other concerts. Like, there were other things that I've done along the way pertaining to this music, and never really had the support. Like, when I was down at the school I was in Florida, and I was giving like Mozart solos and like all these things were happening, people's families would fly down to see them. And I'm like, hey, Ivan, where's anybody's coming for you? And I think like, I think so. And as soon as the show's done, you're rushing out, going back to your room. So it's like, you're not sitting there witnessing everybody kind of have that communal, that feeling of, so that's why Dido was so much more important to me, because even though like I was doing what I was doing, knowing that like at least like a parent was coming. And I mean, granted, like I was even told that like my mom was crying, and my mom was literally saying like, I never knew he sounded like this. Like, my sister like saying like, I heard him sing like years ago, but I've never heard this type of voice. Like, this is, I'm so shocked. So it's like, when I think about it, it's just like, I felt like I made, not that I was just striving to make my mom proud, but like, I just felt like I just felt like finally, like, hopefully there would literally be like legit solidified respect. Like, I'm not out here just being like how my mom would use this term, which I think is the most, I'm sorry, I think this is the most, I don't even say it, but you're going to get where I'm going. This is the most willy-nilly. My mom uses that word, and I'm like, girl, what is that?
I grew up with Willy Nilly too. So
I'm like, who is that? I'm like, Mom, Willy Nilly.
I don't know who it is. I could not tell you where Willy or Nilly is from, but I know what it means when I hear it because I definitely grew up with it. So
yeah, but I think what I was just trying to get to is just like on the support level of family, if you are listening and if you have a son or a daughter or a child, niece, nephew, goddaughter, godson, somebody you know, try to be there for them as best as you can, because it makes a difference. Like my Saturday performance, we were exhausted. I mean, you guys can go look it up. I encourage you not to look at, I mean, not the Friday performance, look at the Saturday, not the Friday. The Friday we was tired. But when my mom was in the audience, and I really didn't know she was going to make it because she had to drive from Connecticut. And I literally sat there and I got the tickets last minute with Dr. John. Like, he's like, Yvonne, I'm going to try my best. I'm like, please, Dr. John, like, this is my mama. Like, I will strike. I'm not coming out if my mama ain't sitting down. So, you know, my mom got to come. So it just felt, it's just like, and when I saw my mom, I started crying. I literally broke down into tears because it was just like, you know, whatever drama we went through and still going through, and like at that moment, at that time, it was like I just felt like she looked at me the way she looked at me like when I did my first show, and she was so excited. It's like I got those eyes back. Like that's how she kind of was like, oh wow, like, and I was like, I've been here the whole time. I'm just like, you know, but familial support is everything. Like, you know, I already told you the situation with my brothers. I got two already on a hit list. Like one, we're all right. But the other two, it's just like, you know, and I'm going to tell them to listen to this episode too, because I'm still, you know, passive aggressive silent treatment. Like, let me get my tears out. But I think that it means a lot, even from our siblings, from anybody in our family that has grew up close to us. This means so much. Like, as much as we're so nervous and feel so vulnerable to share this part with you, if we grew up in a household that this is something that's not a custom, like, you know, like my mom, opera, please, my mom, what? Like that was out of the books. Like even when I was bringing Broadway home, my mom's like, what kind of shit is this? Just like, she's like, why you gotta sing everything? Y'all just can't have a conversation. I'm like, no, we gotta sing it. We gotta add a little spice. But it did something. It gave me, like what you said, that boost of sitting there and just, you know, my family was that loud, rowdy family that came in.
Oh my God. See, because you didn't come in. So when we came in, and I was in the middle with Dido. So I'm like, who is rustling these damn flowers? So I looked and I couldn't, you know, because of the lights, I couldn't see, but I saw and I looked. I said, wait, the only people it could be, I said, it's either gonna be my family, and I know they, yours, Makai, or Sharice. It was only one, or Leslie, maybe.
Yeah.
The person had some tint to their skin, and they look, and then I looked and I saw your significant other, so I knew that's how I knew that they belonged to you. I said, "Wait till I tell this boy." And they the flowers. Then they was holding the flowers. Then I think one of them took the flowers and put it in the robe up front. I was like, "They don't sit still." But they did it like they finished right before Erica came in.
Oh, but
so
but you know the funny thing is? The funny thing is, from their standpoint, they had the nerve to tell me. They were like, yeah, there were couples, this old couple were looking at us, they were rolling their eyes.
I think it was maybe, I don't know if it was Maggie's family. It was this older white couple. They was like,
yeah, no. And then of course my mom's in the back, like, I don't know who she thinks she's talking to or who she looking at. Like, I'm like, oh Lord, like what's going on? Like, I just want to destroy this town and dip off the stage. Like,
you know what made it so bad was that there was really nothing going on stage. We were like standing there partially frozen. and they was playing, and you could just see. I saw the people turn around and look, and then they was looking. I was like, they better not fight in here right before we start singing. And
Uh,
I think they waited for Erica to sing and for us to sing to kind of disguise the sounds of the thing, and they finished what they was doing. It was so funny.
I had no idea. I couldn't even spot where they were, and when I went out to sing,
They
all I could see
were
was, I think they were in the
um,
back because all I could see was Nell.
they were like in the middle. If we're on the stage, if we're on the stage, they were like uh stage left, not right in the front, but middle back. Because I saw Nell
Yeah.
in the back standing up. They were on the same side as Nell, but
Uh-huh.
further up. Yeah.
Yeah, no, definitely. No, it was such a powerful moment. I mean, I felt it from Maggie's family. Maggie's family came both nights. They rode out for Maggie. Like, kudos to that family, because that's how it's supposed to be. I think that, like, even if, and I understand, like, it's something, I'm just gonna call a spade a spade. And our culture, it is difficult because it is something that is alien to kind of where we are brought up in. Just like when you have someone in our culture that is like, back then, computer tech savvy, you were seen as like the nerd of the family, like
Right.
not the hip one. Or if you were the doctor, you bougie, kind of like, go, you're not working like a blue collar job, because granted, marginalized and systematic racism does exist, just putting that out there. But so when getting to a certain level of success or reaching an occupation that kind of seemed out the limit of where you are marginalized, kind of growing up culturally, we refrain from those things. You know what I mean? It's kind of like when I heard opera, my cousins are like, turn that white people music off. And I'm literally over here in my mind like, and I mean, I'm just calling it how, but in my heart, I'm sitting there like, but it's not boring. Like, there's something weird. There's something different about that. Let me go home and try to see what I could find out and listen. And I think that, I always say this, like, imagine all the hidden talent
That has gone missing.
and great musicians that have left because of having no access, because access is an issue.
That's a
Um,
big issue.
yeah, and I mean, it's we're literally robbing ourselves as human beings, and I'm not just saying even just from the Black community. I'm saying from any marginalized community, by you already saying no. You don't know if there was going to be somebody there that was going to find a cure for cancer, somebody that was going to help figure out how to stop asteroids from blowing up the earth. It's like you're literally you just keep chopping off your own arm. Like, every time like a new opportunity comes up, or some type of, you know, life that could have been like being nurtured, or just having that kind of, onpouring of love and support of certain different things that they were either talented in or had an interest in. I mean, it's so sad when you think about it. But it's interesting to see, because I would love to kind of have another episode like this with 5 singers from 5 different backgrounds, and I kind of want to compare to see their musical journey. And I think we should definitely, I think Aaron would be the perfect hot spot. Definitely having, like, I want to hear the difference between Kyle's journey to music compared to Sharice's journey of music, or Leslie's, or Elijah, or just hearing these from Maggie's support, having seen someone has a supportive family, just somebody who doesn't have that. What do you feel? How does it help you in your performing? Do you feel there's some blocks? Because do you feel that since your family is so supportive, you have more to prove now? So are you pressured? Is it when you go out to sing now and you see your family, you're like, I have to do great because they're here. And if I mess up, how do I live with that? Are they going to be supportive? Are my parents a critical family? Like, God forbid you have musicians as a parent. That's scary, because then it's just like, those notes were flat. So it's like, wait, what?
Right.
I don't, like, it's good that my mom doesn't know what I'm doing. I could sing the wrong note and my mom's just like, ooh, babe, ooh.
Yeah.
That's my baby. So it's that's something that I feel was just, how long we've been making good time on this episode, because we literally had a conversation prior to recording this, because we're like, we don't know how far we're going to delve into talking about relationships, but it's so crazy because deep down I always knew that these are important, because these kind of like, these are the factors that build up for those performances on the stage. Right. So it's like all this emotional, whether it's in your subconscious, and that's why I think we run to opera, we run to music, because through those arias, we are able to express and be emotive of those songs that we cannot do in normal speech with somebody that we talk to on a daily basis, whether it's your mom, your dad, friend, brother, cousin. It's like we feel that since I am unable to express these emotions, I'm going to use this character and truly connect, so that when I'm singing that aria, like my heart being broken, or I am upset, or I am confused, or I'm in love, you're actually being honest, probably like the most honest with yourself. As weird as it sounds, as much as it's like you're somebody you're not, but you are, it's like that. I think about that sometimes.
Just to double back on something you said, and then I guess we'll close this one out. There is so much untapped ability because of exposure. Like, if it wasn't for them coming around to audition for the Boys Choir of Harlem, I would have never known this. Classical music was not in my household. So it definitely makes a difference. And as we all know, one of my biggest things that I've always said that I wanted to do is to bring music back into the schools, because music is the first thing. The arts in general are the first thing to get cut. The first thing to get cut is arts. I know plenty of people who never touched music after they graduated, but they became stellar in their field because of the discipline that it takes to master an instrument. Yeah. It takes practice and discipline to master an instrument. Doesn't take oodles and oodles of talent. Yeah, talent helps, but it takes discipline. And they took that same discipline and applied it to what they wanted to do and became excellent at what they wanted to do. The end goal is not to be a musician. The end goal is to be a full, well-rounded human, and music is a part of that. So yes, we are doing, for some generations now, our children a disservice by them not having piano lessons that they don't have to pay for out of pocket in private institutions, by them not having violin lessons, by them not having singing lessons as a part of their daily routine, and it's, there's always people, oh, there's no money where
I mean, we just sent Ukraine 200 million in military supplies.
My point exactly. So I think that's a even bigger problem that has to get tackled. Why do we not have? Why is music always being cut? Why do we not have this necessary support to have music in public schools? Okay.
People always want the art. People always want access to the art, but they don't want the funds to it for it to be produced. That's the one thing I do not understand. You watching your movies, you listening to your favorite playlists, you listening to your podcasts, you gonna go see your opera. Can we just delete all that from the world right now? It's essential, isn't it? Listen to the silence. Listen to your nagging spouse with no relief. So why are we not investing in something that is so essential and what makes us truly, in my honest opinion, human? That ability to create something out of nothing, that literally, and to show self-expression. It's so much more about that. Even if a child is exposed to music and they don't become anything, or they're not talented, you've turned the wheels of creativity in the mind. And not only that, not only is it from an artistic level, it's embedded with mathematics. It is embedded with mathematics. They are learning two different simultaneously, analytically and creatively. They have to, in a way, kind of find this yin and yang balance. And I feel like growing up, I know it must have been the same thing for you, Terrence, just being, I remember out of my day at school, there was a time for me, if we weren't singing, what is it, My Country 'Tis of Thee in the morning, music right there. Always having some type of music involved in some type of learning, or having some time allotted through the day or during the week pertaining to music. It's just that it's essential. It's essential. They don't understand how essential it is.
And the fact that they don't get it the way we got it is, and me more
It's
or
so
less,
sad.
yeah, it really is sad. It truly is sad that the only way you can access that level of, because you have to pay the teachers, like you have to pay
Yeah.
musicians to come and teach. And the only way that certain people can access that, especially from marginalized communities, is if they have deep pockets to do so. And that is insane to me. So you're saying that only the wealthy should enjoy and be able to have access to music in their children? It's, as you see, it sounds crazy when I say it that way, but that's exactly what's going on. Because
You know what else I want to do? I don't mean to cut you off, but I think it would be a great episode for this. I think what we should do, because I think, even though I do feel it is a hindrance to the youth, I do feel it is our responsibility as singers who have, quote unquote, made it, have stable money, live in these lucrative lifestyles, lavish lifestyles. What are they doing to give back? Because I know there are certain singers who either start scholarship programs, singers that out there that start programs for low income, high school students, as soon as students leave out of college, some type of program. I think we should have an episode talking about where those are, who those are, and kind of giving people their flowers on that. Because I think that if we kind of show that, because it's, even though we need the help from like the federal government, I do also feel like we still, if we have the means, our opera houses should be investing in things like that. Agencies. I don't feel like an agency should just make money off of their artists. They should be having to do something for the community that they're making their profit in as well too. It's a whole umbrella of things underneath. It's not so much of, if we want to fix, it's gonna have to start with us. Honestly, I honestly think that as this new generation of singers, especially because I see it in our marginalized communities. If I look in our marginalized communities as a singer of color, I feel because that opportunities are sometimes not available, or I wasn't casted for something because of the way that I look, I always feel that other people in my community, for the most part, if I really need help, I know I'm going to go and find some help. Because there is another singer out there who feels and knows the strife that I'm feeling. So it's like an ongoing, when we all look at one another and say, you too, oh my gosh, all of us. So it's kind of like, I feel like when a community is like that, I feel like that's why there is more communities from those certain programs, like often given. Because I've noticed that I feel like there's more musical opportunities. If we want to go on the lists down, I see that a lot of African-American run opportunities are more available than any other of the other ones. So whether it's like a program, whether it's, what I mean? Like, I'm not saying like a huge big one, but I'm talking about smaller, diverse, because that's how they are reaching out, is in those communities, small, that are kind of underserved.
Yeah, also, even if, and this goes for me and whomever, even if you can't or don't have the means to give money, go talk to these kids if you can. And myself included, some singers do some great work. I know I saw Angel Blue talking to some high schoolers about the importance of music and just exposing them to it. And, seeing somebody that looks like you do what you do. And
it does something to you.
Yeah, representation is key. You don't, throwing money at a problem is only one part of a solution. Mm-hmm. If the people don't have the fortitude to speak, then you throw your money and you let the other people speak to the kids. Because the kids, you still need to talk to them. you still need to talk to them. You still need to talk to them and let them know that it's okay if you heard, if you were turning, well, I don't know if they do it now, radios. I don't think they use radios anymore. But if you were going through the stations, on Spotify, and you went by Vivaldi, it was okay if you went back to listen to it. There's nothing wrong with you.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to go and listen to 2 Chainz just because all your other. You could listen to 2 Chainz and Vivaldi.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? There's nothing wrong with that. Because that could be, so you just listen, you scrolling, and you hear the 4 seasons, and for some reason it intrigues you. You're like, oh, this is, as a child. Oh, what is this? But because you were exposed to that, and you don't have they don't play that in your house, and you don't have the support, you're like, oh, let me just keep going. That's that white people stuff. No.
Yeah, I mean, you could even take it a step further, because it doesn't even have to extend even to classical music. It could literally even be to, like, say if this person liked what's her name? Oh my gosh, it just literally slipped my mind. Country singer, Dolly Parton. Imagine if someone of color, like, he was like one of the most like hood toughest kind of like, don't mess with him. But when he go in his car, Dolly Parton is on full blast, and he got the windows tinted, and he don't care. He living his best life. The thing is that I feel that since our country and the world in a way is so divided racially, and even if it's not based on race, even on sexual orientation of what makes you masculine or what makes you feminine, the type of music that you listen to, that I think that it's infiltrated. And we don't see it sometimes. Sometimes we don't know what to call. Oh, you're not supposed to listen to that. That music is for this type of people. Like, what does that mean? It's like kind of saying like people shouldn't listen to Spanish music because they're not Spanish, or like that's not allowed. Like, you can't. Music has no bounds. It's not created for a specific type of people. We are all human.
I can't stand that. I hate when people say that. On a lighter note, and then we're gonna end this episode. To your credit, my female best friend, she's Puerto Rican and Dominican, and I don't know the name of the song, and I kept asking her. I said, "Girl, what's that song? Go La Mamade, La Mamade, La Mamade." And every time I hear that song, because I have Hispanic neighbors.
Did you find the song?
It's called La Mamia, La Mamada, La something. I don't know. But as being a musician, you don't need to know the words. You catch that rhythm, you catch that beat, and that is what you need. I don't even know what they're saying. I do not care what they're saying, not in a negative way, but I don't have to care for me to enjoy the music. And I what? They was playing that thing so loud, and I was over here and living my best life, trying to do somebody's
keep up.
Right, but it was so fun because that's what at the core, that's what being a musician is about. I love to hear little kids, imitating opera singers. It is the funniest thing to me. It is so funny to me because some of them, if you see the kids imitate, they be so serious. It's so funny. Like, if you can watch some kids imitate, like I saw this girl imitate, and I don't know what it may have been Wagner. I can't remember. She had the serious face, and she was woo, and it was the cutest thing, but it was so funny because she was so serious. So you don't have to understand it to enjoy it.
Yeah, no. As even to piggyback off that a little bit. So in my building is so interesting because there's a little girl that lives on the 2nd floor, and I mean this little girl is beautiful. Like, she has almost like this like almost just like a soft dark olive skin complexion, wild curly brown reddish hair, and these lily pad green eyes. Like, I mean, like, this girl is stunning. I'm like, she looks like a little Disney princess every time I see her. So her father is the super in our building, so I am guilty of singing in the shower. Like, it's included in the rent. So I'm gonna take my time, and I gotta open. Let's get it out. So for the longest time, everybody in our building thought there was a woman that sings opera in the building. Like this is I did not know this. Like I recently found this out. And one day he came by the door, and I think I was at the piano doing something, and he came to ask us something, and he's like, "Wait, that's you?" And I'm like, "Yeah," like I'm confused. I'm like, "Yes, I just working on something." He's like, "We were everybody in the building because there is 12 apartments in our building. We were all trying to figure out what, because I guess there's only two ladies that live, like who out of the two ladies are singing?" They're like, "When we're in the backyard, we hear it all the time, like it literally just starts coming out." So the little girl is imitating me in the hallways, and like the father would tell me, he's like, no, like whenever you're singing, she's imitating you. Like, so one day I'm literally sitting there and I'm just like, okay, that's so cute. So I'm at the piano and I'm literally practicing, and I guess like her father was cleaning the hallway, and I'm singing, and everything I'm singing she's repeating. So I'm just like, so it got to the point though where her father literally came to me and asked me, he's like, "I think, she has a really pretty little voice." He's like, "Would you mind teaching her?" So starting in February, like once a week, I'm going to have her come over here, and I'm just going to give her,
that is amazing. That is amazing.
Yeah, so she's going to be my first trial by error. Be like, let me like literally just put the groundwork in. This girl's going to come up and be like, "I am the next Baroque specialist."
Okay. That is amazing. I mean,
I'm about to throw that bar.
Yeah, that I used to I had my neighbors. I don't sing too much in the house unless I'm in my bedroom. And I don't sing full out at all. I try my hardest to not sing full out. And as you know, as a singer, sometimes we need to let it rip. But I was in the shower. Now, I used to put music on when I was in the shower. But see, if I put music on, it's going to make me sing. I just can't, especially if I have like one of my playlists and like I have like a bunch of like, I got like Leontine and Larry Brownlee and all these people and Jesse Norman on a thing. I'm going to sing with them. Okay. It's just going to happen. So back then when I used to take a shower with the music, I would sing, and then my neighbors, sweet the Dominicans, oh my God, I love them. So the daughter, who's about the same age as me, she takes care of her parents. Excuse me. She was saying, she said, "What happened? I love when you give us a concert." And I know when she's, because our bathrooms face each other, so I know when she's in the bathroom, because I'll be in the bathroom. Sometimes I'll take my phone with me. Sometimes I'll take a piece of music with me. So a couple of times I'll take music, I'll sing, and I can hear her imitating me. But for me, I don't get offended. I think it's the funniest thing. I think it's I won't say cute because she's old, but I think it's the funniest thing. It makes me so happy when I hear people.
Because you know why? I think when that happens is you just see the innate respect for that type of music. Like it's not in a way that's any evil or malice behind it. No. It literally is this, oh my gosh, you're like a superhero. You could do something. You know how many people that don't really understand opera, when they hear it, like when I showed them the recital, there was a few people that came over for Thanksgiving that were like friends of the family, and they didn't know I sing opera. Like they're just like, because I am a jack of many trades. I love to cook. So I invited them over for Thanksgiving. And what I mean, I'm telling you, these people were trying to pass out on my couch. They were trying to pass on my couch after the meal. So I literally put the recital on, and they're literally looking at me and they're like, "So not only can you cook, you sing opera? Like, what else can you not do?" And I'm literally looking at them and I'm like, "What do you mean by that?" They're like, "No, like, if you sing opera, like you're like the top of the top." And it's like, that's another topic I want to talk about, is why in music are opera singers held to just such a high standard and regard? Like when people look at us, or like my friends that want to sing R&B or they want to sing other things, they don't go to their own people.
Way. Okay.
They will come to me to be like, "Can you teach me the true way of singing?" So I'm literally like, "Oh, so this is the true way." Yeah, I'm not making the millions that like, Tay Money is making. Tay Money is the assignment. Like the assignment is getting billions, and I'm over here getting student debt.
like young little Vicks Vapor Rub or whatever they name it. Yeah, but it's true. That would be.
Oh my gosh.
Touch on that. Well, yeah, you know, not going. We're going to touch on that because I know it's a good topic to talk about. But ladies and gents, it has been real. I think we're going to cut this one, take this one to an end. Thank you all for listening. Until next time, like we always say, like our good friend Tabitha says, if you having a bad day, just do us a favor and don't go mess up anybody else's day.
Please don't.
All right, party people, until next time.
Bye.
Later.